Caitlin Clark is the only woman in basketball to ever sign with Wilson Basketball, and she's the only athlete since Michael Jordan to do so.
If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anybody not named Michael Jordan, anybody not named LeBron James, you're being extremely disingenuous.
Basketball enthusiasts, we're talking about a seismic shift that has executives at Nike headquarters literally sweating bullets right now. You're the biggest sports brand in the world, worth over $200 billion, and you just landed what everyone is calling the next big thing. You won't believe what just dropped and how it's about to completely shatter Nike's billion-dollar empire. You have Caitlin Clark locked into an 8-year, $28 million contract with Michael Jordan of women's basketball, essentially stealing her for pennies compared to her value. You sit pretty thinking you have the golden goose that will generate revenue for the next 10 years. But Wilson of all companies just released a commercial that is so flawless and emotionally compelling that it is forcing Nike's entire marketing team to reevaluate their life decisions. When you take away the loud noise and the bright lights, it's just the game you loved as a child, and the fans are defending it. The worst part is that they used basketballs, not shoes, but the impact is going to change everything. Let's give you a glimpse of Nike's current nightmare scenario. Over the past few years, the company has completely collapsed, losing over $100 billion, 0 cents in value since 2021. It got so bad that people were literally requesting while Adidas was doing well, even after terminating their connection with Yeezy, the CEO was sacked, and guess what? He had to resign. Nike was mired in its own errors, according to statistics gathered by LSG. Nike is predicted to record a revenue reduction of 11.5% to $11 billion, 0 cents in the third quarter. This would be the biggest drop since the 38% decline Nike posted in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2020 during the pandemic under Hill. Nike started an ambitious turnaround, but Morningstar analyst David Schwartz stated that the sportswear giant needs to establish a whole new franchise, similar to a family of brands, in order to get back on track for sales growth, products that generate billions of dollars in sales. But then came their salvation, Caitlin Clark, the generational talent that comes along maybe once every 10 years. We're talking about someone who was 4 times more popular than the most famous men's player in college and twice as recognizable as Angel Reese. When she went pro, every major brand threw money at her. Under Armour wanted to make her the face of Curry brand. Adidas was prepared to blow the bank. But she stayed with Nike because of the way they promoted her while she was in college, shoe that would revolutionize women's basketball. But while everyone waits for Caitlin's shoe, things get completely out of control. When Nike announced that Wilson would receive her signature shoe first, there was a detail that should have infuriated every Nike shareholder. They claimed that Caitlin Clark's shoe wouldn't be available in stores until 2026 or even 2027, and people were even speculating about that. However, today's Nike quarterly call put an end to any rumors that this wasn't a done deal and that their renegotiations at the table were the reason for this. It also revealed that Caitlin Clark's shoe would be arriving in 2026. Are you joking? It takes 2 to 3 years for a shoe. Let me tell you how absurd this is. In 2003, when every major brand was trying to sign LeBron James, Nike was so desperate to get him that they began designing his shoe before he even signed with them. They used the code name Air Zoom Nobel LeBron backwards to keep it secret. And LeBron wore the LeBron ones for his NBA debut. It took 3 months from concept to his feed. If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anyone who isn't named Michael Jordan, nobody named LeBron James. The rarest of rare cases, the extreme cases, cannot be compared to an average Joe Schmo seeing while strolling down the street. Can we really do that? We can only compare. Nike went from a 3-month timeline to a 3-year timeline, and when Caitlin signed her deal, Major newspapers ran headlines asking why people were upset about her getting a shoe deal. Some fans argued that A.A. Wilson should have gotten her shoe before Clark, who hadn't even played a role at a WNBA game yet. But the truth is that business is about making money, not about what's fair. In those sneakers, Allen Iverson sold more than Tim Duncan, even though Duncan was the superior player. Tim Duncan didn't care because he understood business. But Aja Wilson isn't Tim Duncan. She's actively being promoted by Nike through billboards and commercials. This is where it gets really awkward, though, because she's made some dubious remarks about white players and their privilege when talking about Paige Buchers. She claimed that the player's success was driven by her privilege, adding that she's obviously good at it. I find that black women who play basketball almost as an afterthought remind me a lot of you. She is obviously skilled at the game, but she also understands how her privilege has pushed her to the top, which makes me think of you a lot. Christian Lerner had no NBA experience when he was on the 1992 Olympics Dream Team, but Caitlin Clark is not making this one. Diana Taurasi was a WNBA rookie when she made the 2004 Olympics team and had comparable stats to Clark at the time. But 20 years later, Caitlin Clark is not good enough. This is the official reason why Caitlin was left off the Team USA Olympic roster. However, she went on to dominate as a rookie, making the first team in the WNBA, leading all rookies in multiple categories, ranking 4th in MVP voting, and single-handedly changing the WNBA viewership. Her first playoff game drew over 1 million viewers, whereas regular WNBA games draw 300,000. The Washington Mystics had to move to the Wizards Arena to accommodate the crowds, and she set attendance records everywhere she played. Team USA eventually acknowledged that leaving her off the roster was a mistake, but Nike is still sitting on their hands, too afraid to unleash their most marketable athlete. Wilson dropped their ad and everything was different. The commercial begins with the lovely message, when you take away the noise and the bright lights, it's just the game you loved as a kid, boom, right in the fields. Nike is unable to properly market their biggest star, Wilson, because of politics. And Wilson captures the essence of why we fell in love with basketball in the first place. The commercial continues, feed on the hardwood basketball in hand, guiding you, inspiring you, working on the player you dream to be, because the ball will be there. This is not just any commercial, it is a masterclass in emotional storytelling that makes Nike's recent efforts seem like amateur hour. Always transport you back to your favorite spot, serene, confident, and focused. This is brilliant marketing. They're selling dreams, not shoes, or attempting to negotiate cultural politics. Who is the face of this ideal message? Nostalgia and the unadulterated love of the game. And the reason this is so disastrous for Nike is that the player Caitlin Clark is too afraid to be adequately promoted. Consider for a moment that Wilson put Caitlin Clark in the same conversation as Michael Jordan by making her the only female basketball player to sign with them and the only athlete to have this kind of relationship with them since Jordan. The commercial concludes with only, while Nike sits on their hands worrying about social media reaction, Caitlin's catchphrase is so flawless that it will haunt the company's marketing team for years to come. Wilson simply established themselves as the genuine basketball brand that prioritizes the game over all other considerations, and the basketballs themselves are more than just goods. They are statements. While Nike treated Caitlin like a political liability, Wilson's staff spent months researching every aspect of her life, including her favorite color, interests, and what she would be if she weren't a basketball player. They even kept an eye on her social media and fashion choices. Senior director Christopher Rickert of Worldwide Output according to Wilson, the team started with 50 design concepts and narrowed them down. Sometimes the color wasn't right, sometimes the pattern didn't work, and sometimes what seemed like a great idea on paper didn't quite translate into reality. The commercial was released alongside a whole new line of basketball, which was scheduled to be released on June 23rd. The response has been incredibly positive, with basketball fans calling it the best basketball commercial in years and praising Wilson for concentrating on the game rather than getting sucked into cultural politics. Based on the interview, it appears that Wilson will likely earn more money in the EuroLeague abroad than she did during this Nike's silence regarding their biggest women's basketball star is growing increasingly deafening as they watch Wilson execute the ideal marketing campaign with their athlete using basketballs to tell the story they're too afraid to tell with shoes. During the WNBA season, the commissioner informed her that she could earn $700,000, 0 cents playing in the WNBA. When you allow fear to guide your business decisions rather than talent and marketability, this is what occurs. Nike paid $28 million, 0 cents over 8 years to sign Caitlin Clark, which is a great deal for someone who has already shown she can make a difference, unlike any other women's basketball player in history. But they are so terrified of the possible reaction that they are unable to act. The irony that they are allowing a basketball firm to steal their ideas is heartbreaking. Nike's success was based on athletes who were more than just athletics. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Nike is too preoccupied with internal politics to see the gold mine, but they're sitting on Wilson, who sees exactly what they have. Not only are they producing basketballs with Caitlin Clark, but they're also making a statement about authenticity, prioritizing the game, and recognizing greatness. LeBron James and Caitlin Clark were not just exceptional athletes, they were a cultural phenomenon who revolutionized our understanding of sports marketing. Regardless of Twitter's opinion, the most frightening thing about this Nike commercial is that it's not just brilliant marketing, it's perfect marketing. When you watch this commercial, you don't think about politics or controversy. Instead, you think about why you fell in love with basketball. That's the power of great marketing. And Nike should have been able to capture everything that makes Caitlin Clark unique without getting caught up in controversy. It celebrates her love for the game, her authenticity, and her ability to inspire the next generation of players. The production value is incredible, the message is universal, and the emotional impact is undeniable. Doing with their best women's basketball star, but instead they're watching from the sidelines as Wilson demonstrates how to do it. The commercial has received millions of views, been shared on all social media platforms, and been hailed by both marketing experts and basketball fans. Wilson just demonstrated that when you pay attention to the correct things, everything else falls into place because of the talent's genuineness and passion for the game, which transforms everything by revealing Nike's true strategy. Cowards who are willing to blow the greatest chance in women's basketball history because they are so terrified of upsetting some individuals. In the meantime, Wilson is dating. The basketball community is keeping an eye on this generational talent that might pay off for decades. If Nike fails to effectively sell its own athlete, other companies will take over and show them how to do it. Wilson just made the first shot, and it was a flawless bullseye. Nike needs to wake up quickly because Wilson is busy making history while they are busy with politics. In business, the game has changed, and Wilson has shown that they are better at it than the so-called experts. In basketball, you either step up or get stepped on. Nike's greatest nightmare is about to come true, and this is only the beginning. What are your thoughts on this decline in the remarks below?